What's up? I'm Nita Strauss, hanging out here at Guitar World headquarters in New York City, and these are just 5 of the many riffs that have changed my life. The first riff I'm going to play is actually the very first heavy metal riff that I ever heard. You might be surprised to learn that it is Trust by Megadeth. I'm going to play it for you right now. Just know that my guitar, this is my touring guitars, I'm in D standard tuning, so it's going to sound a little lower than the record, but this is how I learned how to play it way back in the day. It is such a musically interesting riff to play. You have the flat 5, you have the flat 6, like really kind of dark notes in an otherwise pretty straightforward riff. I just like how it kind of turns around, kind of cyclical. You have the different notes coming back in the different parts of the riff. So it sounds straightforward, but when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's actually really interesting. Next up is a riff that you guys have seen me play dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I have played it thousands of times in my lifetime, and it is Poison by Alice Cooper. So this obviously is a song that everybody's very, very familiar with. It is the first Alice Cooper song that I learned, that I have played with cover bands long before I actually got to play it with the man himself. And playing this song on stage with Alice that was my pinch me moment. That was my rock star moment of like, wow, I grew up learning these songs, looking up to Alice Cooper's guitar players, and now here I am standing on stage with him. So that is always going to be a very, very meaningful one for me. One really cool thing about this riff is how the melody notes interact with the pedal tone. So you're really pedaling here. You have those string skips, which are fun to play. And then when you think about the chords that are going on underneath that riff as you're playing the same thing, it really just adds a lot of dynamics and a lot of dimension to the riff. Next riff is by a band that I consider to be my Beatles, and that is Sweden's own In Flames. In Flames is, the band that I always list as my favorite band. And when I was growing up, getting into heavy music, I was always really drawn by these sort of inversions and chords that, the Swedish melodic death metal bands use. And this is a song called Bullet Ride. So yeah, really, really fun to play. The dramatic shifts of those chords with that pedal tone and just using that root and the fifth in a different way rather than just adding the tension with those different notes I just think it's so cool. You cannot talk about the Nita lore of the riffs that changed my life without talking about Iron Maiden. How a lot of people first heard about me was playing Iron Maiden songs with my girls in the Iron Maidens. And this riff that I'm going to play for you is one of the most fun to play, and it is The Trooper. So when I was touring with the Iron Maidens, this was like the crowd pleaser song. This is like when this song hit, and that intro hit, and the singer would run out waving the flag of whatever country we were in. It's just like a pinch me moment. You're not in Iron Maiden, but you almost feel like you're in Iron Maiden in that moment. So always really, really fun to play. I did add the pinch harmonic because that's what I used to do a lot of the time in the band. So if you're playing it just like the record, don't do that. But if you're just having fun with it, throw in that pinch harmonic. And the last riff that changed my life is another iconic one that you guys will be very familiar with, and that is Crazy Train. So this was the first riff that I learned as a kid that made me feel like I was good at playing guitar. Like when I could play that as a teenager, I would go into my local Guitar Center, my local Sam Ash, and sit down and play that riff and feel like, yeah, I'm doing it. So still really fun to play. I actually play it a lot now with the Rams. When I perform at the LA Rams games and they want to throw in like a little heavy metal moment, we will do a little bit of Crazy Train. And so this riff is really dynamic. You have the palm mute notes, you have the open notes, you have, if you're Zakk Wylde, the pinch harmonics, my fave. Just really, really dynamic, a lot of interesting note choices once again, and really, really fun to play. I'm Nita Strauss, and those were 5 of the many, many, many riffs that changed my life. If you want to see what I'm up to, you can find me on socials at Hurricane Nita, or check out all of my tour dates at nitastrauss.com.